Are you tired of putting in all that hard work at the gym but not seeing the gains you desire? It could be as simple as these 3 issues keeping you from your dream arms. If you implement these 3 changes into your exercise routine, I have no doubt that you'll finally start seeing results. Hello, welcome back to another video. I'm Brendan Martinez. I'm currently getting my doctorate in physical therapy. And today we're going to be talking about the 3 biggest tricep mistakes that are keeping you from your dream arms. As I'm sure you all know, triceps are essential if you want big arms because they make up the bulk of your arms, accounting for about 2/3. Because of this, we need to make sure that we're optimizing and avoiding common pitfalls to get the most out of our tricep workouts. Like I mentioned, we're going to be going over 3 very common issues and pitfalls that I see both new and experienced lifters falling for, and I'm also going to teach you how to avoid it, so make sure you stick around to the end. Alright, let's start with this side-by-side example. If both lifters are performing the same sets and reps, then who do you think will make the most progress in the long run? I'll give you a second to think about it. Okay, the answer would definitely be B. Now you may be sitting here watching the video unsure why B is the right answer, and that's perfectly fine because I'm going to be covering all of that in today's video. If you take a closer look at lifter A, you can see that the elbows are not fixed and they are moving a lot. This is something that is extremely common, and it leads us to mistake number 1, which is compensating to ease the movement. This normally happens for one of 2 reasons. Either you're new to the gym and you're still trying to figure out how to properly do an exercise and what your form should look like, or maybe you've been lifting a little longer and you're choosing a weight that's too heavy for you, and essentially you're using momentum to actually complete a rep. In this exercise, for example, when we're moving our elbows and not keeping them stationary, we're recruiting our lats to help with the movement. This is essentially performing a miniature row, which is building momentum, therefore decreasing the amount of work and load that we have to move with our triceps. Now if we jump back to lifter B, you can see that the elbows are fixed and not moving, therefore the triceps are doing all of the movement and they're taking all of the load. That makes this a more strict exercise, and it's going to result in more motor unit recruitment and ultimately more muscle hypertrophy. Now continuing off mistake 1, another very common compensation we see is during the dips exercise. And if you look at this video here, you can see that the elbows are flared out, therefore you're recruiting more chest and your anterior delt or your front shoulder to help with the movement. Just like in the previous example, if you keep your elbows close to your body, that's going to become a more strict tricep exercise and you're going to get more motor unit recruitment and more hypertrophy, just like I mentioned before. Now that we covered mistake number 1, let's jump into mistake number 2, which is not maintaining enough muscle tension throughout the exercise. This is a huge mistake that also plays a role with compensation. And jumping back to the tricep pushdown example, far too often we see people not controlling the movement on the way down and also on the way back up. And more commonly, it's going to be on the way back up, and this is the eccentric contraction, which essentially is when your muscle is contracting while it's elongating. And this is a principle that I've covered in previous videos, but essentially eccentric contractions are essential for muscle growth, and if you are not controlling on the way back up, you're missing a lot of gains that you could be making. Now if you take a look at this clip here, you can see that I'm pushing the weight down, but I'm not really controlling the weight on the way back up. And essentially I'm having the cable column do the work for me. And like I mentioned earlier, this is arguably one of the most essential parts of the exercise, so make sure that you're not missing out. So both the concentric contraction, or the way down in this example, and the eccentric contraction, or the way back up in this example, constitutes time under tension. Simply put, time under tension is the tension your muscles experience when completing an exercise. In this study shown on the screen, it's recommended that time under tension for each set with the goal of muscle hypertrophy should be between 20 and 70 seconds. Therefore, if you're completing this exercise or any exercise in general, and you're not controlling the weight both on the way down and back up, there is no chance you're going to reach this 20 to 70 second recommendation, and you're going to be missing out on a lot of gains. So the takeaway of this point is, instead of focusing on what weight you're doing, focus more on your form and your control, and I promise you it will take you much farther in the long run. Before we jump into mistake number 3, be sure to subscribe and like for more if you're enjoying the content so far. If you have any questions about what I've covered so far, be sure to leave a comment down below and I will try my best to answer it. Alright, for mistake number 3, the last thing we have is not fully locking out. Just like the other 2 mistakes, this is an issue consistent with just about every single exercise, but once again, I'm going to be using tricep pushdowns as an example. So in this video on screen, you can see that I'm not fully extending and locking out my triceps at the bottom of the exercise. Now the issue with not locking out for this exercise in particular is that as you get further and further down through the exercise, it actually gets harder. So the hardest part of the exercise is going to be at the bottom. Therefore, this means that you're going to be working your triceps the most. I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to figure out that you're not going to be having as much motor unit recruitment, and it's going to lead to less muscle hypertrophy and bodybuilding progress in the future. So in short, make sure you're going through full range of motion, and I promise you it's going to take you much further. Alright, so just to recap, the 3 mistakes covered in today's video was number 1, compensating. Number 2 was not maintaining tension throughout the exercise. And number 3 was not going through full range of motion. Knowing these common pitfalls and knowing how to avoid them is going to take you much further, and I promise you it's going to make all the difference in your gym routine and ultimately the results that you see. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to like and subscribe for more. Also drop a comment down below if you have any questions about the content covered. Other than that, I'll see you in the next video.